All the materials you'll need to create today's project are in the description, but you essentially just need 2 coloured yarns and a 5mm crochet hook. We are going to start by making the body of the octopus, so you want to take the coloured yarn that you want to create the body with. So for me this is going to be the blue yarn, and we're going to start by doing a magic ring, and into that magic ring we are going to do 8 single crochets. Once you have done those 8 single crochets into your magic ring, you want to pull the ring nice and tight, and then I'm just going to do a double knot to secure the middle of that magic ring so it doesn't come loose at all and no stuffing will show through after we've finished our octopus. Once you've done that, you want to do a slip stitch back into the first stitch that we did in the magic ring, and this is something we want to do at the end of every round. So at the end of every round we're going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch we did in that round, and then we are going to chain 1. In round 2 we are going to do an increase, so in every stitch we are going to do 2 single crochets, and this will bring our stitch count up to 16 stitches. In round 3 we are going to do a single crochet into the first stitch, and then in the next stitch we are going to do an increase, and we will continue with this pattern all the way around, and that will bring our stitch count up to 24 stitches. Round 4 is 2 single crochets followed by an increase, bringing the stitch count up to 32 stitches. And then in round 5 we are going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase, which will bring our stitch count up to 40 stitches, and this is the highest number of stitches we are going to reach for this. For rounds 6 through to 11 we are going to no longer be increasing, we're just going to be doing a single crochet into every single stitch, so our stitch count will remain the same for all of these rounds at 40 stitches. For round 12 this will be our last round for the main body of our jellyfish, so for this round we are going to start decreasing, so we want to do 3 single crochets followed by a decrease, and this will bring us down to 32 stitches. After we have finished round 12, we can do a slip stitch back into that first stitch and we can cut our yarn. We don't need a long tail on this because we won't be using it to attach any other pieces. So you just want a short length, pull the yarn through, and then you can weave in your end how you usually would. Next we are going to be creating the base for this body. For some reason I managed to accidentally delete the footage, but what you want to do is start with a magic ring, and inside magic ring we're going to do 8 single crochets, and then in round 2 you're going to do an increase, and that will bring the stitch count up to 16 stitches, and then from there you'll go into round 3. So in round 3 you want to do a single crochet followed by an increase, bringing the stitch count up to 24 stitches. And then in our final round for this base, it is round 4, and you're going to do 2 single crochets followed by an increase. That will bring the stitch count up to 32 stitches, and then hopefully this base should match the size of the opening in the bottom of the main body. So for the tentacles next, we're going to want 5 tentacles, and we're going to be using a different colour yarn to what we used for the main body. So for me I'm going to be using a purple, but you can pick whatever colour you like. And to start you are going to want to do 30 stitches in a chain. Once you get to the end of that chain you're going to turn, and we're going to skip the first stitch, and we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next stitch along. And we're going to continue that along the length of our chain, so we're going to be doing 2 single crochets into every stitch, and then this should make the tentacle naturally curl, If it doesn't, you might want to make sure that you are doing your 2 single crochets in the same stitch. It does get a bit fiddly, so you might be accidentally skipping a stitch. We don't want to be weaving in our ends on our tentacles because we're going to be using the ends to attach to the bottom of the body. So when you get to the end, you can cut your yarn and pull through, and you maybe can only leave about a 5 cm length, and that should be enough to attach to the body. So now we are going to attach our 5 tentacles to our body. So you want to take the base of the body that we did earlier, and we're going to be pulling the ends of the chains through the base, and then we're just going to do a double knot to secure it in place. You want to do this 5 times. Next we are going to be doing the skirt on the main body, so we want to take the first piece we made, the main body, and we're going to attach our different colour yarn, so the same yarn colour we used for our tentacles, just attach that into the front stitch only. So we want to be working all these stitches into the front loop only, and we are going to start with a single crochet, and then we're going to do a double crochet increase in the next stitch, making sure to only be putting our needle through the front loop only. And we're going to continue this all the way around, so you do a single crochet followed by a double crochet increase, and then a single crochet again, and then a double crochet increase until we get all the way back around to where we started. When we are back to the beginning, we can just attach to where we started using a slip stitch, and we can pull our yarn through and cut it off. We don't need a significant length of tail on this because we are not going to be using it to attach any other parts, so we can just weave this in. Now we want to sew some eyes onto our head, so using some black yarn, I cut about a 30 cm length, but we don't really need that much. You can cut it much shorter if you like, or you can use safety eyes if that's easier for you. So I'm just attaching my yarn through my needle, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the front of the head, so you can see where the joins are in the back. I like to put that at the actual back of the head, and then put the eyes at the front. So I like mine quite low down on the face, and then we're going to want to be doing this both sides, so you just pull your needle through, and then insert the hook 1 round higher than where you pulled it through, and then keep doing this until your eyes are nice and circular. As I say, you want this both sides of the face. I did mine 8 stitches apart, and I started with inserting my needle 3 rounds from the base, and then reinserting it 1 round above what I'd originally inserted my needle, as you can see me doing here, pulling through the bottom of 1 round and then back through the top of another. So now we have finished our eyes, we want to do a mouth, again with the black yarn. So if you cut another 30 cm length of black yarn, and you can insert your needle through the back of the head, I do about 1 stitch to the right of the first eye, or the left depending on what side you start, and then you just pull a straight line all the way across to 1 stitch away from the other eye. And then we are going to reinsert our needle 1 round below where we've created that line for our smile, and we're just going to loop the needle up through the line and pull it down so it is in line with where we've pulled our needle through, so it creates that little bend in the line of the mouth to make it more of a smile than a straight face. And then, like we did with the eyes, we're just going to pull our yarn all the way through the back and then tie a knot between the 2 ends to keep it nice and secure. I don't show it here, but if you would like to stuff your jellyfish, this is where you should use your polyfill and stuff the head, because we're about to attach the base to the head. So using the tail of the yarn that we left over from the base earlier, we're just going to insert our needle into the back loop that we left over from when we did the skirt. So if you remember, we were doing the front loop only for the skirt, and now we're going to be using the back loop only from that same round to attach the base. So you want to insert your needle into that back loop and pull it all the way through. And then you're just going to keep inserting into the stitch in the base and then back through in the body, and you want to do this all the way around. If you haven't already filled with polyfill, if you get halfway through this round and then fill with polyfill and then continue, and you can close up your round this way. This is the last step we have on our jellyfish, so hopefully once you have finished this stage and closed and woven in your ends, you should have a nice looking jellyfish.